Valencia and Sevilla, two of the big giants of the football in Spain that right now are not going through very good times. We can remember Valencia going into two Champions League finals in the early 2000s. The finals were against Bayern de Munich between Oliver Kahn, Santiago Cañizares. There was a really cool anecdote, and then we had also the other final between the two Spanish teams with Valencia and Real Madrid, and those goals from Raúl. But on the other hand, we had also Sevilla with the European League titles that also probably made them the Europa League kings in that time, because they have won 6 titles in a little bit less than 10 years. And right now they are not going through very good situations. How do they get there? Is it something economic? Is it something related to more signings? We'll get into it in this video. Let's start with Valencia and how did they get there. So to start with, we need to go back to 2011, 2012, because those were the years that Valencia was really struggling economically. They needed to sell the big players that they had at the time, that was putting them into the Champions League spots and making them fight for those kind of positions that were really, really important for the team in order to be able to be kind of profitable as a team. And we had those sales in the names of David Villa, David Silva or Juan Mata. Those are the major sales that the team had to do on those years, and they are really, really very big players. That one of them is probably one of the best Spaniard in the Premier League history. The other one is the top scorer in the national team's history, and Juan Mata won a Champions League with Chelsea, so they were really, really good players that Valencia couldn't have kept because of the economic situation. And we get to 2014, where a Singapore billionaire decided to buy a team, and probably the situation that the Valencia team was at the time, it made the city really, really happy, because obviously there is somebody with a lot of money coming into the team. They decided to also pay the debt that the team had at that time, and also clear some kind of bad environment that Valencia was under at that time. But the situation didn't go as planned, as we'll go now a little bit more into detail. Peter Lim's time in Valencia, that hasn't ended yet, hopefully it does end really close or really quick. It started in 2014, as I said before, and it started a little bit well. The team started made signings, and it was something that really stimulated the city, and the population started to go to the stadium, and the fans were really encouraged to be a Valencia fan. But then things started happening, like the Jorge Mendes being more involved in the transfers for Valencia. That made those transfers be overpriced. We had the signing for André Gómez or Joao Cancelo or Aderlan Santos, and then they were bought for 10 million like Aderlan Santos, and then they were sold for nothing. Nani as well, a player that was super good at, or was supposed to be the next Cristiano Ronaldo at Manchester United, wasn't at all. He came for Valencia for a season only, and then he was on loan for nothing basically. And then we had also the next thing that happened, the main thing that happened. It was the decision to sack Marcelino, and that was one of the main ones, where they sacked Marcelino, and Matteo Alemany left also the club, which was the sporting director, and those were the two main men that was basically putting Valencia into the spots, in the European spots, in the Copa del Rey winning, and that wasn't what Peter Lim was wanting. One of the main things that we had to understand about the Peter Lim situation after Marcelino signing is his management is based in instability. That means that probably not a lot of coaches passed more than 3 or 4 months managing Valencia. We have the examples from Gary Neville, Gattuso, Prandelli, Javi Gracia, Bordalás. The one that was the most successful one was Boro, which was one of the coach members that he just, every time that they would fire a coach, he would be one of the substitute ones, and he did really good. He did save Valencia a couple times, but what we have to understand is in those moments where there was such a big movement in coaches, in coaching staff, there was also a lot of sales of important players. We had Gonzalo Guedes leaving, Ferran Torres leaving for 23 million euros, which was one of the main players for the club because he represented what Valencia was. He came from the youth teams, he came from Paterna, and he was sold to Manchester City for 23 million, which then after he came to Barcelona, and it wasn't really good, seen really good in the city because of it was just that the club needed the money, and now the player doesn't have the really love from the city because of that. And then we also had some bad economic decisions with signing players that really deserve the amount of money that they were paying for them, and that caused Valencia to start losing on that market cap or that salary cap that La Liga states for each club in the season and where you can be in order to sign players, and that has caused Valencia now to be in the 19th position in the 2024-2025 season, with coach Rubén Baraja fired not too long ago, with Carlos Corberán joining the team, with a decent team to be in the first division. I don't think that they can aspire to be in Europe, but they definitely not to be in the relegation area, because that's just something that the team has struggling with the tactics, and you can see now that with Corberán and with some good signings that I think that the management team is doing better in that sense, with Aarons coming, Sadik coming, there'll be some movement in there, and Hugo Duro is starting to perform better, and Diego Lopez is starting to perform better. But the thing that we have to understand is that unless Peter Lim leaves the club, Valencia is never going to be able to recover from this, because the debt is increasing, and because of what Tebas has become in La Liga, economics and financial aspects are really important, and we are seeing also that in Barcelona's side. So Valencia really needs to make a change, and an important change in the economic structure of the team, in order to be able to be the Valencia that we all know. With Sevilla, the situation is completely different, because the economic situation was made by themselves. They took themselves into this position, and I can explain it. So we all know Monchi. Monchi right now is the sporting director for Aston Villa, that they have been doing pretty good also with Unai Emery as a head coach, that casually was also the coach for Sevilla. But Monchi was known in Sevilla. He also played for Sevilla as a goalkeeper, I think, and he was known because of his good signings and unknown signings, let's call it like that. He would bring players from Brazil or from Croatia, from Germany, from those kind of countries that weren't really seen by the scouts at that time. And we have the examples of Dani Alves, that was then sold to Barcelona. Then we have Ivan Rakitic, that also was sold to Barcelona, Kevin Gameiro, Jules Koundé. We had all those examples of very good signings, and at that time the quality of the players that they were bringing, it was super good. The team was performing, everything was running smoothly, but then there was something going on with the coaches. The instability inside of the sporting director area was creating also instability in the coaches, that made Lopetegui be fired not too after winning the Europa League title. We also had Sampaoli being fired and then bringing him back. We had also Mendilibar winning a league title, a Europa League title, and then being fired after not too long ago. Then Diego Sanchez, the same thing. It was a lot of coaches being fired, with not a lot of time to work on the team, and also they didn't really have the key players to do that. And that started because of the signings that Monchi was doing at the time. We had the likes of Isco, for example. Isco came from Real Madrid with a lot of salary. Dolber, the same thing. Lamela, the Tecatito Corona, those kind of players that bring the salary cap of La Liga really down. Sevilla wasn't performing up to the levels that those salaries should be performing. That made the team had to cut costs, because they weren't getting to Europa League positions or to the Champions League positions, and that made Sevilla be where they are right now. Like, it's basically because of bad transfer decisions that have put Sevilla into a really bad spot. Now with Victor Horta, they are starting to get better. They are basically trying to do everything they can and get creative with the signings of Saúl, from Atlético de Madrid, which he has been doing better, but also there is the example of Colo Barco, which he hasn't really performed, but they have to get creative also bringing players from the youth teams like Manu Bueno, Isaac Romero, Quique Salas, those kind of players that are giving a lot of value to the team, but they are not gonna put Sevilla into the spots that they were doing before. Like they are not gonna be able to get to the Europa League positions or to the Champions League positions, and it is gonna be really difficult until they can find that economic equilibrium and take Sevilla to the next level, or to win the cup or get to the Europa League spots, and then they start getting better again to where they belong, basically. To finish this video of the end of an era, I wanted to see what do you guys think, and also explain what do I think they need to do for it not to be the end of an era. I think Valencia needs to be sold. Everybody thinks that. I think it's really clear that Peter Lim needs to be out of the city, out of Valencia, and needs to be bought by somebody that really cares about the city, about the club, and is willing to make some investments with probably not a lot of profit for now, until Valencia starts getting better to the Europa League positions or Champions League positions. And we also have to think in Sevilla that they need to get really smart about the recruits, and I think they are doing it right now, and it's starting to make results. We can see that Saúl is doing pretty good. We have Sambi Lokonga, Luque Bacchio, they are doing really good, but the salaries maybe are a little higher than what they need to be in order to get to those Europa positions that are really, really difficult for a team like Sevilla at the moment, because they were really struggling last season with relegation as well as this season for Valencia. So I hope you guys like the video. Let me know if I missed any details that you guys think about Valencia or Sevilla, and if you have any other suggestion of what Valencia should do or what Sevilla should do.